Imagine you're losing a round and you see, wait, I still had burst. God damn it, I could have burst. Well, in order for that to not happen anymore, I want to talk about how to use the UI properly. You ready? Let's get to it. The gist of it is essentially you understand when you're allowed to look at a certain resource element of the UI and how to respond to it. So let's say the match is 20 seconds into the round, or you've already eaten like 3 combos. Then it's much more safer to say, yeah, maybe you should look at some point into the health bar. And there are also some certain context to it. So for example, if you're in neutral, it might not be as important when the opponent doesn't really have a conversion into a damaging move. But if you're in the offense and a DP might kill you, or if you're in the defense and any hit might kill you, then it could be a little bit more important to know, okay, I should look at the health bar now. Now, the health bar is only an example, but this is something that you should really consider for every element of the HUD. Knowing exactly, okay, in which case could each element be important. Of course, we can say that the health bar might be really important when you're at like 20% HP, but is it more important than knowing, for example, how much super bar the opponent has? If a super or a EXDP could potentially interrupt our pressure? That's for you to decide, but it's something that you should really be conscious of, and that will also impact your decision making and when you will look where. The question is, how do we practice that? This is not really something that's been discussed a lot, so everything is really early in development for a lot of players, and most players learn this either intuitively or they learn this by themselves. So take everything I say with a grain of salt and also do your own research and your own thought about this. We don't train ourselves for muscle memory. Yes, the eyes have muscles, crazy, right? And with that, we can also train them to look autonomously when we want to perceive a certain information. So for example, if we are getting comboed, then maybe we want to be able to automatically look at a certain element without even thinking of, because that will reduce the load on our cognitive capabilities, and in turn we can look at things faster, easier, and we can use more time to calculate our next move according to the data that we perceive. The core point of everything that we are going to talk about is knowing when to look at elements. When do you actually need information? For this very first step, I want you to ignore what information you want to get. I really only want you to think of, when do I need information? For example, I am in the defense, so I probably need information about my opponent right now. I am currently in the offense, so I need to know resources about myself. I am currently in neutral, so I need information that is only relevant for neutral. I don't know which exact things for these aspects I need, but I do know that there are elements that are important for my current context. And that is very important to know, being able to tell, okay, in which scenario do I really have to look at something in order to make a decision based on that. And
Szenario oder Szenarium steht für Handlung, Form einer Handlung.
Thanks, Google. Where was I? Look at your own replays and see in which time frames, doesn't matter how short they are, if they're 10 frames, if they're half a second, or maybe like a full 10 seconds. See and get a feel for when you're allowed to divert your attention from the center of the screen or your own or the opposing character to another element of the game screen. When you've mastered the when, it's much easier to actually learn the what, because you've already trained your muscle memory to look at information. You just haven't learned how to look at specific information yet, but that will ultimately come as long as you just stick to one rule. Learn mechanics. Now, of course, there are also unique UI exploits that exist. And I'm not talking about stuff that is very general. I mean really specific stuff. For example, Granblue Versus. You can look at the cooldown bar in order to react to things more easily, because they will be more harshly contrasted to when they're active or not. If you're at 48% meter and you need 50% meter in order to use a tool that requires meter, you can look at the meter and I know I build more meter when I hit versus when it's blocked. I can just OS it. That kind of information, of course, is also very, very useful, but it's very specific and it's more of the same of how to learn how to look at UI. So don't really try to be too forceful about learning these specific tricks and try to get the fundamentals first, because they will make everything else much easier. I just want to reiterate this. This is not something that is taught often or even at all. So there are no best practices. If you think there are some ways you can improve with this easier, then go for it. Experiment. It's absolutely awesome. And it's something that you can also share with other people. And I think it should also be shared with other people because it's such a fundamental and basic way to play that no one ever realizes. So if you have any other ways to improve at this or kind of get a feel for it, please leave them in a comment below or discuss on your social media or anywhere. Would be really happy if this got a little bit more attention. With that being said, if you liked the video, you know the drill. I won't ask again. Thanks again at Accelerator for the editing of this video, and have a great day.